Hi everyone and welcome to this week's Make a Card Monday. We're actually going to be using the Come Sail Away suite today and this week for going to be using it on Watch Me Wednesday as well. But this card here, so Make a Card Monday is always about casing one of the cards in the catalogue, showing you how it's made. So it's going to be this card here, so let me bring that right up to you. This card here is what we're going to be making today with one very, very small amendment, but I will explain that later. So yes, that's what we're going to do. So let's get straight into it. We don't want these to be long videos. Now I have pre-prepared some of these bits and bobs. So the base of the card is covered in this pattern paper. So let's go through some of these bits. Here is the Sailing Home stamp set. And you can see all these images in there, 12 different images, great for a men's set, but doesn't have to be. Anything sort of nautical or beach vibe is always good for this. We're going to be using the knots and this sentiment today, but as you can see, there's lots of other things, and you've seen samples from me before using this set, so you know how to use some of the others as well. We're also going to be using the sailing, the smooth sailing dies. Now these are the ones I'm not going to be using. So you've got one that cuts out the lighthouse, compass hands, an anchor, a banner, that's the sailing boat, a kind of strip of rope, a knot. But what I have used are these three here. So you get a couple of label dies. Of course I can't pick it up now. I can't pick it up, come on, oh come on. There we go. So these are the three dies that I've used. So that one's a label die. So that cuts out that. I've also used that die there to cut out the wheel, and then I've got a couple of these kind of seaweed plant life as well that have been cut out. So colours used here are Whisper White for the base card, because the base card is completely covered in the white cards, in the pattern paper, sorry. Look at the detail on this die, if I can pick it up there and see it close. Can you see if it focuses? You've got some embossing on that as well. Really beautiful, cuts really easy to take out the die, and great. And we're going to be, using a couple of these as well. So I've used Mossy Meadow and Old Olive. The wheel is Soft Suede, and the label is just Whisper White. So what else? Ink pads I'm going to be using are Soft Suede and Mossy Meadow. And the pattern paper comes from a pack. So I've got it here. So all the coordinating colours are Balmy Blue, Basic Black, Mossy Meadow, Night and Navy, Soft Suede and Whisper White. And it's got a whole host. I put these in, I had a little 6x6 pack left over. So it's normally 12 by 12, but I just cut mine down. So you've got these. Now I did sit and and wonder whether they had cut just one of those out on the design, but I don't think they have, because I think you'd see too much of this navy there and they haven't got that, so we are going to stamp it. So a couple of different designs there, the compass and some maps, same again, a stripe and a nice kind of very vintage pattern there, another blue stripe with some measuring equipment, some nautical equipment, little lighthouses I like, and another stripe. Here's the piece we're using. I'm actually going to be using both sides. So this is the main pattern paper, but you will see that I've used a strip of this as well. And then you've got the knots and again a nautical as well. So it's a great set, very versatile, even if you just want blue stripes. But let's put those away. Okay, so you've seen the dies that we're using. We can get rid of those as well. So let's go with this. Also going to be using baker's twine as well. Great baker's twine there. And I think this white strip that I've cut needs to be thinner, but I'm going to stamp my images first and go from there. So if you don't know what die cutting are, you don't know what dies are, then as I showed you there, these are dies. They're thin metal and they have blades on them. You can't cut yourself on them. But they do cut through paper and various other bits, and you run these through a die cutting machine, which basically just applies pressure from the die blade onto the piece of card and cuts out the shapes that you want. So that's as simple as it is. I'm not going to show you how to do that. If you want to see how to do one, you just need to find my video that shows all about a big shot machine, and that's a die cutting machine. It's a very popular one. It's one that most people have, and I'll show you everything about how to use it and how it comes in there. So let's get going, shall we? So first of all, I'm going to just stick my piece of pattern paper onto the front. So this has been cut. So this is a sheet of A5 card, or A4, that's been cut in half to create A5, and it's just been folded in half. This is thick Whisper White pattern paper. I need to make sure I don't have my boats upside down. So just using our multi-purpose liquid adhesive. You know I like this if you've seen other videos because it gives me a tiny bit of wiggle room to get it right before it sticks forever and a day. So I can not be perfect, you see, and make sure I'm happy with how it is. Wiggle it a little bit, then push it down, and that's probably about as far as you can go. But there we go, there's our card done. So normal measurement. So if you're in the States, you're going to use I want to say it's gone off my head now, 4.5 by 5.25, I think your size is. But if you're here in the in South Pacific or in Europe, then we have 10.5 by 14.8 centimetres. So I've cut this piece of card, which I know is going to be way too big, so we'll trim it down in a bit. And I'm using the knotted stamp there. Now I haven't used this stamp before at all, so again, what you might have seen in some of my previous videos is what I tend to do. I have a scrap bit of paper underneath, and just in case, it's just something I've always done. Sometimes during the manufacturing process, you can have some residue left on the stamp. So every single time I use a stamp for the first time, I ink it up, I push it down, and I wiggle it. Just a little bit. And that's it. And then I always find that everything sticks and stamps perfectly. So it's all good, all good. So gentle tap, and I'm going to be using one of, I'm going to keep that straight on the grid paper, and I'm going to cross my fingers here. So I'm going to kind of go like that. Now we are covering some of this, so I don't think it's that traumatic if I don't get it right. And I want to say actually that they've stamped off. That doesn't matter because we're going to be covering that, so that's fine. And that looks a little bit dark to me actually. So, because you always have a practice side and a real side, I'm actually going to stamp off first because it means, and then the stamped image comes just a little bit lighter. That's better, that's more like what they've got. Because we are supposed to be copying the catalogue, or casing the catalogue if you like. Look at that, that'll do. Again, I'm not too worried about joining this up. You could do it perfectly if you wanted to, but it's no need. We're going to be covering that bit up anyway. So now I am going to trim that. So get the trimmer out and just leave an even sized gap really either side. Make sure it's straight for a start though. That'll do. Doesn't need to be perfect, but that will do the job. So that was soft suede ink with the knot. Now, looking at the catalogue, this is all raised up. Now, so here's my piece. So that's the bit that was off of here. And I'm going to be sticking glue along the bottom of there because there's got a few lines. So we're just going to layer that on top of that. And it's perfect because it's got lines on it, so you can line it up. So that's my middle piece there. Now this is all raised on dimensionals, I think, but before I stick it down, I'm going to wrap some of this round it. So I kind of go, right, it's going to go around the back and a bit of a knot. Let's cut it off there-ish. Just because I don't like this hanging around. So we need to, and we can wiggle it once we're done, but this is tying a knot, just tying round it. And I'm not worried about where this bow's, where this bow's going to go, because I can move it once it's settled. So I don't want it to be too tight that I am indenting the sides of the cards and making the card bow, but I don't want it to be too loose that it's going to fall off either. So just bring it taut. And then if you want to, if you sit there and think, oh, well, whenever I tie a bow, it just gets, it just falls apart, then just do a double knot. So there we go. So that's perfect for me. Now I can move it around because the bow is actually over here. I've got the baker's twine in between the two bits of stamped rope, and now I can tie my bow without worrying about whether or not it's going to be moving up and down, is it going to be tight enough or anything like that. So I just tied it just like a shoelace, if you saw that. So because I've got a double knot, it's not going to move, and just one loop round, tying it like a shoelace. Slightly different to if you're tying like double-sided ribbon or things like that, but this is baker's twine, all sides are the same, and you just pull these bits to make your bow small. I don't want a massive bow, but when you're happy with the size of the bow, although they've got a bigger bow. I don't like big bows really, but there we go. And they've got quite long legs as well. My legs are probably normally at same length as my loops, but we're copying the catalogue, casing the catalogue, so let's leave those a little bit like that. Right, okay, so this is all this bit needs, so we can now put some dimensionals, so some 3D foam tape, if I can find mine, there it is, on here. So I'm going to put one in each corner and probably one just underneath. You could stick one on there to keep it in place. In fact, let's do that, why not? There we go. Okay, so they're double-sided, so we peel off those bits so we can release the sticky. And then, oops. Okay, so we're going that way, and it's about, so that is 10 centimetres wide, that is. So my card is 10.5 and this is 10 centimetres. So it's just a little bit smaller, so you've got a even gap either side there. Right, then we've got some poking underneath to do. Now, what we could have done, we could have put all these underneath here and stuck them to there, but I never necessarily know where I want it to go, and we're not using the whole of this anyway. And this kind of goes underneath here as well, and look, it sits quite happily, no problem without me doing that, because there's only one dimensional there, so I've got all this area here to poke things, and you can cut them. So if you wanted to cut this in half, you could cut this in half and only stick half on, because you wouldn't see the half that's up there anyway. But let's do this. So I'm only going to stick some glue, dots of glue. Can you see that? I think you can, yes. Just tiny dots of glue around that circle and a couple in the middle there. I might have to get my tweezers out now, because I'm a bit of a tweezer girl. Don't trust my fingers, more fingers and thumbs. So that's going to go kind of, oh, she says, under there. So that's going to poke all the way under there. And again, up to you. Do you want it dead straight? Do you want it at an angle? What do you want? I want it there like that. That's what that looks like. So now these I'm going to have to cut down. So we've got some mossy meadow, and that's at the background. So again, you could poke that down there, but obviously it's going to come out here. So we need to do some chopping here. So I'm going to chop there and chop there. Get rid of that bit and use these two bits here. So again, let's put little dots of glue on where we want it to stick. Only need a tiny bit. And then we can poke those where we want them. And they won't go too far down. There we go, I think we'll have that one there. And we've also got some dark on the other side. So mossy meadow. And there. We'll poke that there and then stick down. And so we want this side of the old olive as well. Again, you can do what you want to do. You could have another bit going down there. This is where I would normally go a little bit off-piste, but that's not what Maker Monday is all about. So let's just, there we go. And then that is kind of over there a little bit like that. And we'll get rid of that. Okay, so last thing we need to do is we have our sentiment. Leave that on a block. So let hope be the anchor through the storms of life. It's quite a nice saying, I like that. And we're going to stamp in Mossy Meadow. Now normally my advice would always be to you, stamp and then punch out. But I know this fits in there quite nicely. I know it's quite a straight one to line up. I know it's got two sides if I get it wrong to start with. But when you've got quite a big area, it doesn't matter so much. It's not so much of a problem. Now I know this isn't a new stamp. I know I've been using this already. So this is where you cross your fingers. I'm going to line it up straight. I'm going to line that up and I'm going to go by eye and hope that I don't knock the camera too much. I think I just did. Right, cross your fingers. It's always pressure stamping on camera. Come on. Oh, look at that. That'll do. And it will dry lighter. It looks quite dark there, doesn't it? But it will dry lighter. Now, this is also on dimensionals. So, it's a nice new ink pad as well. So, where's my dimensionals gone? There we go. So that is going to go... I'm only going to put dimensionals there because in fact it hangs off the bottom, so we don't want a dimensional on the bottom. Oh, come on. Okay, so according to this is just to the right of there. So the right of the bow, just above the wheel, making sure it's as straight as can be, which I've done by making sure those are straight. There we go, it's not stuck under there, she says. That's it. And the only thing, so this is the thing that I said was going to be slightly different. So if you look in this one here, you've got one of the embellishments there, which is actually the anchor. Now I've used a whole pot of these already, and I've got one left. You get these wheels and the anchors, and so I've got one wheel left, and that's it. So I thought I would add this. Now you can, it does look like that is tied to the bow, and you could do that, but I'm not sure I want to, because if I was to tie it onto there, I think that would kind of have half of it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of glue again. You could do glue dots, or again, this Tombow multi-adhesive is for multiple things, and I'm just going to tuck it there, and then it kind of looks like it's hanging off anyway, doesn't it? So what do you think? Apart from the anchor, there we go. Oh, let's get those in. That's not bad, is it? That's not bad, although my bow's a bit flatter than theirs, but I think that's not too bad a copy stroke case of the main catalogue. So there we go. So come and join me. So Watch Me Wednesday is a Facebook Live. I go live on my Facebook at midday on Wednesday, and I'll be using this product suite again. So if you want to see another masculine card, or I don't know what I'm making yet, I haven't decided yet, then come and watch me there. If you are watching this on YouTube and you don't already subscribe to my channel, then please just hit subscribe, and then YouTube will let you know when I update these videos. So every Monday, as I say, and every Wednesday you'll get a new video from me. So that's it. Otherwise, thanks very much. All the links and information you need. If you do like this card and you'd like to purchase any of the products, then you can do so through me, and the links are below. So thanks for joining me. Bye.